The one constant in JRPGs is that they have a clear endpoint, one final task that must be completed before the final credits roll, and for me this is one of the most frustrating parts of playing a JRPG. Squall's weapon upgrades lack purpose, the life shrooms I hoarded in Paper Mario wilt and become dried shrooms, and the affinity I built between Ryan and Shulk now feels meaningless, particularly since they didn't even make out.
Stop it. Get some help.
Fortunately though, many developers have realized that players crave more, and their solution, in many cases, is to pad their creations with minigames and side quests. So I thought it would be fun to talk about some of the most addictive content that takes you off the beaten path in JRPGs. These games are in no particular order, and I'm not going to allow myself to use more than one game from the same series. If you disagree with my opinions, which are the correct opinions,
you ain't got the answers! You ain't got the answers!
Please let me know in the comments. Xenoblade Chronicles has many strengths. Its character development, story, and music are some of the best in the JRPG genre. But one of its greatest strengths is its wide variety of side quests. Some NPCs ask you to collect items, some ask you to defeat certain types of enemies, and one particular NPC, Emmy Leader, asks you to get her a poisonous sword. She needs it so that she can kill her commanding officer and rise up in the army ranks. Don't judge, we've all been there. In any case, the reason that these side quests are so addictive is that they effectively replace grinding. Completing quests give experience, stat gems, and unique weapons. Certain questlines even expand characters' affinity trees, giving them enhanced abilities. My only gripe with this system is that when I was originally playing the game, I put off beating the final battle for an entire year because I was so obsessed with getting every ability for every character. But if you're looking to get lost in quests for 50 hours and enhance your characters at the same time, Xenoblade Chronicles is a great game to sink your teeth into. From the very beginning of Skies of Arcadia, the player has access to an airship, allowing for incredible mobility and exploration. And with that flexibility comes the ability to make discoveries. While flying around the world, if you find a suspicious location, you can click a button to discover a landmark. Some of the discoveries are stationary and some are mobile, which makes even just finding the discoveries more dynamic. And when you discover a new landmark, you can then sell that information to the Sailors Guild. I've never found all of the discoveries in this game because I'm just not that patient. But I appreciate that this system incentivizes exploration and also revs up my competitive spirit. Final Fantasy IX has a lot of extra content. You can fight Hades, play the card game Tetramaster, and collect action figures, among other things. But the most addictive side quest in the game is Chocobo Hot and Cold. In this minigame, you ride Boko, a chocobo whose beak has unlimited endurance, and you dig. That's it, he just digs. The ultimate goal is to find chocographs, which are essentially treasure maps. Each one leads to a unique map location. Digging in that location yields treasure. Some of that treasure enhances your characters, but some also enhances your chocobo, allowing it to cross rivers, climb mountains, swim in the ocean, and even fly. Each ability opens up a new area for Boko and the party to visit. The game has been criticized for being tedious, but for me, this game was an escape. A welcome respite from Tan Mom's rampage, and a fun way to procrastinate. My main critique of the game itself is that it's sometimes hard to triangulate exactly where the treasure you're looking for is buried, but I can forgive that if only because of the amazing tracks this minigame added to the OST. This minigame is the sole reason I never was able to get Excalibur 2, but I will gladly make that sacrifice in service of birds. You should also know that 9 out of 10 chocobos that watch this video hit the like button. They helped me out in the algorithm, and so should you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Super Mario RPG is a beloved SNES classic. It's primarily known for its unique battle system, which featured action commands. I talked about that game in my awesome video about the best RPGs on the Super Nintendo, and I'll drop a link to that in the description of this video. But the minigame that got my attention in Super Mario RPG was Beatlemania. The name is a play on words. It refers to the 1960s musical group of the same name and its obsessive fan base. It costs a mere 500 coins to buy from a Toad in the Mushroom Kingdom, a paltry price to pay given the abundance of coins later in the game. In this minigame, you play as a little beetle who shoots stars at shells, breaking them and causing a cascade of explosions. Each explosion gets you points, and while there's no reward for playing this minigame, I still often find myself going back to destroy the Koopa shells again and again. Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door was an instant classic when it was released. The combat and comedy are much improved from the first game in the series, and the minigame in Paper Mario Thousand Year Door that piqued my interest was a Pianta parlor game, the Plane Game. It's a deceptively simple paper airplane flight simulator. Mario can take two actions. He can lean back, reducing his speed but gaining some height, or he can lean forward, increasing speed at the expense of altitude. Ultimately, the goal is to fly as far as possible. However, what complicates the games are the marks placed on the ground. The X2 squares will double your score, allowing you to gain more Pianta tokens, which can be traded for valuable items and badges. Conversely though, the circular patches remove your Pianta tokens, turning your run into an automatic loss. But what most impressed me about this game, and the other games in the Pianta parlor for that matter, is how it took a mechanic that could have been used minimally, the paper transformations, and expanded it to its fullest extent. Other games with tear-away mechanics should really take a page out of Paper Mario's book. Get it? Because it's paper. This minigame has eaten hours of my life, and I'm so happy it was a part of Paper Mario. Let's go through the honorable mentions. Chrono Trigger has myriad side quests that I love that develop its characters, giving them new depth, but I wouldn't define them as addictive per se. Don't get me wrong, I love going back to the courtroom and rebuilding an ancient castle, but it didn't have the same gravitas as some of the other games in this series. Persona 5 has a ton of side content, including social links and mementos quests. However, at times the esoteric nature of figuring out what to say to your allies can be incredibly frustrating, and it made me want to throw my controller at a wall. I'm planning a whole video about Final Fantasy X's Blitzball. And really, Blitzball could have made this video, it's just I had that pesky one game per series rule. And in any case, Blitzball is pretty polarizing, and even I will admit that it gets tedious after a while. It's just the same game over and over, although I love the idea that Blitzball is its own RPG within an RPG. But Volley Shot, why do so many characters need Volley Shot? I hate it. You probably saw this coming. Or maybe you didn't, because I said I would only use one game per series. Well, it's my video, and I made the rules, so I get to break them. Triple Triad is the best minigame in the history of RPGs. Triple Triad is a card game played on a 3x3 grid. Each character uses 5 cards, and they take turns placing those cards in empty positions on the grid. If 2 cards from opposing teams touch, their numbers are checked upon placement. If the newly placed card's number beats the card it touches, that card is taken. Whoever possesses more cards at the end of the game wins. But as you travel the world, the rules change. Like a virus, any rules you encounter in other regions can be transferred to your home region and vice versa. These can change the flow of the game itself or impact how many cards are claimed by the winner at the end of the game. And claiming cards is key because various NPCs have the most powerful cards in the game. Cards that correspond to characters, guardian forces, the summons of the game, and monsters. But those unique cards serve an even greater purpose in the game. Using the card mod ability, each card can be changed into an item, and many of the items made from unique cards are completely game-breaking. In addition, many of the best cards in the game can be acquired almost immediately upon beginning Disc 1, making card mod an easy, though somewhat tedious way of neutering the game's challenges. And there's one more thing you need to know. My top 7 SNES RPGs. Go watch and let me know what you think.